Hi, I'm Emily, and I did my outcome study on the nutrition education on grocery shopping and meal planning to promote healthy eating habits among participants in an employee wellness program. So essentially, while I was interning at Crossing Healthcare, I did a lunch and learn for their employee wellness program where I discussed tips for grocery shopping and meal planning. So, the idea behind this study is that many adults struggle to eat and prepare balanced meals, and a lot of these barriers to preparing healthy meals include busy lifestyle, time, and cost. And this lack of time is a problem for people going to the store, planning meals, and preparing food. And because of this, they usually go get fast food or eat out. So I wanted to see if I could teach participants in the employee wellness program how to more effectively create a grocery list, discuss helpful foods to buy at the grocery store once they're there, and then explain how to prepare balanced meals to then promote some healthy eating habits. So my objective was to determine if nutrition education would help participants understand that if grocery shopping is planned, ingredient lists are planned, and cooking is planned, healthy eating becomes a lot easier. So, my overall question was, after receiving education on meal planning and grocery shopping, do people have a better understanding of how to plan balanced meals? So, when I was looking at the literature, I noticed that a lot of people don't plan their meals due to lack of time, not planning, and lack of time to prepare food, which often leads to consumption of those convenience foods. Three-fourths of the US population eat less than the recommended amounts of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and dairy, which are the main food groups we recommend people to eat. Um, Meal planning can save time, aid in portion control, decrease food waste, save money, avoid unhealthy foods, and reduce last minute meal preparation, leading to those healthier choices. And people who make food at home usually eat smaller portions, consume less calories, less fat, salt, and added sugar, which again will lead to an overall more balanced diet. So, when I conducted this study, I provided a nutrition education session, which was my lunch and learn, to five participants in the employee wellness program at Crossing Healthcare. And during my education session, I focused on healthful foods to keep at home, like foods to store in the pantry, foods to keep in the refrigerator, stuff like that. How to make a grocery list, healthful foods to get at the grocery store, and then meal planning tips just to keep those meals healthier, such as cooking with liquid oils instead of solid fats like butter. Um, I also provided a handout to all participants, and then I gave them a questionnaire at the beginning of this lunch and learn. So they filled it out before I taught anything, and then the same questionnaire was given after. So on this questionnaire, I used a scale from 1 to 5, 1 representing very low and 5 representing very high, to assess their knowledge about grocery shopping and preparing foods and creating meals, how they feel their ability is to create balanced meals and select healthful foods, and then the likelihood of them to take action after I taught them. So after I collected my data, I noticed that the average and the mode increased for all three areas: knowledge, ability, and likelihood to complete the actions. So this essentially means that the outcome study did show that nutrition education promoted healthy eating habits among participants in the program. Their knowledge, ability, and likelihood of making grocery lists, selecting healthful foods, and preparing balanced meals increased after this education session. So, like I said, the likeliness of implementing the topics tended to go from like a 3 to a 4 or a 5. So that's good. And then looking at my results, I do think this study brought new insights about people's knowledge, ability, and likelihood of meal planning and making a grocery list, selecting those healthful foods, and cooking meals at home. I think education can help participants reveal barriers to healthy eating and suggest improvements to then make those balanced meals. However, there are some shortcomings in my study. So I think people, if they were to conduct something similar, should use a larger sample. I was only able to have 5 people because of COVID restrictions. I was only allowed to have 5 people in the room at a time. And then I also think future research studies could implement a third questionnaire, like 4 or 5 weeks after this education session was given, because this would allow them to assess if the actions were retained and people actually followed through with those actions. So, in conclusion, I did see my participants change some of their knowledge and ability, and they rated their likeliness as higher to take the following actions I discussed, but I was not able to see if those actions would be further implemented in the future. Thank you for listening to my outcome study.